This is Backstage Bay Area. Now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Hi, everyone. This is Steve Roby, and this is Backstage Bay Area, your all-access pass to the San Francisco jazz scene. Today's guest is Chris Potter, who is the music director of SFJAZZ Collective, as well as a tenor saxophonist, composer, and multi-instrumentalist. He joins us today to discuss the SFJAZZ Collective's upcoming performances at Miner Auditorium on November 1st and 2nd, and their tribute to Wayne Shorter's 1975 album, Native Dancer. Chris, welcome to Backstage Bay Area. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we dive into the details of the Miner Auditorium shows, and there's 3, can you give our audience a brief overview of the SFJAZZ Collective?
Well, the SFJAZZ Collective was formed, I think this is the 21st year, amazingly. The SFJAZZ Center in San Francisco, I believe the building actually opened after the collective started, but in any case, it's through that organization. And it's kind of an all-star band that the SFJAZZ Center puts together every year, consisting of musicians. Like, I think basically the only Bay Area musician is Edward Simon, the pianist. The rest of us live elsewhere in the US. And we come together here in San Francisco for a residency every year to work on original compositions together, and also often doing some sort of a tribute or some kind of a theme involving something else. So yeah, that's the basic overview of the band.
Right. Can you tell us who's in the current lineup?
The current lineup, well, it's me on saxophone, and also David Sanchez is also playing tenor saxophone. Michael Rodriguez is playing trumpet. Warren Wolf is playing the vibraphone. Edward Simon, as I mentioned, is playing the piano. Matt Brewer is playing the bass, and Kendrick Scott is the drummer. So it's a 7-piece group.
Nice. So for this upcoming show, what was the inspiration to honor Wayne Shorter's album, Native Dancer? Who came up with the idea, and why this particular LP?
You know, it's just an album that we all really, really love. You know, it's kind of an interesting year, like in 2026, you know, it's the 100th birthday of both John Coltrane and Miles Davis, and that seemed like a major theme. And we thought, you know, everybody else is doing that. Let's do something else. So we realized that this album came out 50 years ago. And it's some music that hasn't been explored maybe as quite as much in a jazz context as some other of Wayne Shorter's music. You know, and it's also a chance to play some of Milton Nascimento's music. I don't know if you're familiar with the album, but it's just a really, really special album. It was made basically while Wayne Shorter was in Weather Report, and that was his main project at the time. But, you know, he made this record under his own name, but he invited the singer-songwriter Milton Nascimento, amazing Brazilian singer-songwriter, to also join him, and they do kind of half of Wayne's tunes and then half of Milton's tunes, with a band of kind of half American, you know, half Brazilian. Herbie Hancock is on it, you know, some amazing musicians from Brazil around there. It's a very unique album. I'm sure that it introduced Wayne Shorter to some folks that were in Brazil, and I'm certain that it introduced Milton Nascimento to an American audience, you know. But the music is almost hard to categorize. I mean, is it a jazz record? Is it a Brazilian record? It's just beautiful music.
Well, while setting up this interview, I learned that the SFJAZZ Collective finished recording a version of Native Dancer. Can you share some of the details of that process?
Well, we each came in with our arrangements of these songs from Native Dancer, which was a real challenge. We all were discussing this, that when we were writing our arrangements, a part of the problem is that the tunes are so perfect as they are that we're trying to think of something else to do with them. But we each put our stamp on it in some way, and it's obviously a different instrumentation. You know, nobody sounds like the folks on the record. So we use that as the starting point. And we've been rehearsing, I guess we rehearsed for about a week and a half, and now we've been in the studio. This is our 5th and final day in the studio, if you hear music in the background, because it's coming through the headphones, because I'm in the vibraphone booth at the moment.
You sound great.
Well, thank you.
The album that you recorded, do you have a release date on that? What's the project going?
You know, that's an excellent question, which I meant to ask our manager, Chris Edwards, who is also engineering. So he is busy at the moment. But I believe I believe the idea is that it would come out within a year. So probably around this time next year is my guess.
Do you have a title for it or just, the trigger?
We hadn't gotten that far. We haven't gotten that far. I mean, obviously salutes native dancer, maybe that, something that obvious. I don't know. I don't know. That's an excellent question that we should take up.
To be determined. It's a little early on that.
We're just, it's a little early in the process because we've just been in the studio recording the music. So we're just doing it now.
In the recording process, are there any tracks that really stood out to you in particular?
I think they're all really amazing pieces of music. I mean, it's been quite an epic recording process because we're doing all the music from the Native Dancer record. So we each brought in an arrangement of that. So that's 7 tunes. But we also write original music. So we've been doing all of the music and making sure that we document it all. So we've been in the studio for a few days doing about 14 tunes, originals and native dancers. So it all gets to be a little bit of a blur at a certain point. I mean, I have certain favorites from the record. The way that the record starts is with a song called Ponta de Areia. That's the song that's on the original album, and it may be one of the catchiest melodies of all time, I think. I mean, once you hear this, you're going to be humming it for the next week.
It'll be an earworm.
It's an earworm, but in a good way.
Good.
So for that song on this album, that was reimagined, rearranged by David Sanchez. But they're all, I mean, there really is not a dud on that album, and everyone came in with really, really beautiful arrangements. So
All right. Well,
I think it's going to be a very, very strong project.
we'll be looking forward to that. I understand you met Wayne Shorter once. Can you recall for our listeners some of the highlights of that encounter and how did it all happen?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wish I had had more time to spend with him for sure, but I did know him. I guess I had a chance to play with him once. I was playing with Herbie Hancock, and he came out as a guest. We were playing at the Hollywood Bowl. But he was, I mean, it's hard to really describe unless you had met Wayne. He was a very unique human being, you know. I had been listening to him, you know, since I started playing the saxophone, really. I mean,
Sure.
I started when I was 10 years old, and when I encountered Wayne's music, I always found that there was just something special about it that I couldn't even put my finger on, something that went beyond just the notes. You know, it was kind of a whole way of looking at life. And when I met him, I felt like I had a bit of it was exactly kind of what I thought he might be like. Like he would speak in riddles. He wouldn't necessarily say anything directly. He would you'd have to figure out what he meant, you know? And he had this, he would always look very directly into your eyes with this very friendly, benevolent expression, but also very intense. You know, he wasn't one to just kind of waste time. I mean, he would make jokes, and he was very funny actually, but somehow it was always like serious fun. I don't know how to describe it. You know, I mean, I'm trying to think of one specific episode that would kind of paint the picture for you. I remember being around him. He was rehearsing a wind ensemble at the Monterey Jazz Festival. He was playing with his quartet, and they were adding a wind ensemble. So it was all these arrangements that he had written, and I was performing, unfortunately, at the same time that they were playing. So I wasn't able to make the gig. So I made the rehearsal, and watching him rehearse was really a trip, because, you know, it was all these musicians hired to be in the wind ensemble. And he had just the way he thought about music, you know, like he was a huge film buff as well.
Hmm.
And I remember he was going over some passage, and he said, okay, so this section, you got to imagine, now that's Superman coming over the mountain, right? So you're, you know, you got the cape, you know, and he kind of paints this whole picture, and you see these kind of studio musicians, you know, writing on their parts like, oh, Superman, okay, you know, like, you know, they looked a little confused. But then also I, you know, maybe a minute or two later, they're going through something, and he stops the group and he says, oh, okay, in bar 35, second clarinet, that's a B flat, not a B. Okay. So like he was able to access this imaginative, childlike, you know, artistic world, but then he was also able to bring it back to nuts and bolts and go, no, that's a B flat, you know? And I think he just had a gift. He was kind of, he was able to deal with, you know, things that maybe are aspects of consciousness that maybe a lot of us don't have access to a lot. I think he was able to get there all the time, but he wasn't crazy. He was able to come back and go, oh, okay, now we're doing this, you know, and this is the correct note.
Right. I've met a lot of musicians that have that gift.
Yeah. Yeah. He was at an extreme, I have to say. Because of course I've been working with musicians my whole life, and we're all like, oh yeah, Wayne was different. Wayne was like possibly psychic, you know?
Yeah. Some of the musicians are like that. They'll say something and you don't get it the first time, and you're scratching your head, and you go like, maybe
You're right.
a year later, you go, oh, that's what he meant. Okay.
That's what he meant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's pivot to the upcoming shows at Miner Auditorium this weekend. What can the audience look forward to, and are there any moments we should pay particular attention to?
That's a good question. I would hope that the entire thing is worth paying close attention to. I would say, besides the music itself and the arrangements, that it's just a very strong group. You know, at this point, this iteration of the collective, this particular group of musicians, this is maybe our third season together. And I feel it's just a very special group. I mean, the fact that we have all this time to rehearse and this time to spend together, and we've played now so much. I feel like we can now really, get to a place that you can't really get to, even with excellent musicians, if you have one rehearsal or if you're playing one gig.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much mutual respect and love, from everybody in the group. I think you feel that,
Right.
and we're applying our talents to this music of Wayne Shorter and Milton Nascimento that we love, so I would imagine that the overall feeling is like, oh wow, this isn't just a thrown together thing that that they're supposed to do. This is a real statement from a group that plays like a band.
Yeah. Will you be performing the album in its running order?
We, again, still haven't completely gotten to that. We've been in the studio, so we're documenting everything, but we have to decide that very, very soon. Obviously, I think what we're going to do, I don't know if we're going to do the order of the album, but we're hoping to have, see how long all the songs are.
Sure.
Roughly, and hopefully we'll be able to do all the tunes that we arranged from Native Dancer, and as well as a handful of the originals, and put that into a program. And I think we have 3 performances. I believe we have one on Saturday evening, one Sunday matinee, and one Sunday evening. And they might all be a little bit different, especially as far as the originals go. We might, have a chance to at least play everyone's original once.
All right. Good. Yeah. Well, the perfect opportunity to remind our listeners the SFJAZZ Collective will be honoring the 50th anniversary of Wayne Shorter's landmark album, Native Dancer, this weekend with 3 concerts. The first show is Saturday, November 1st at 7:30 p.m. And there'll be 2 shows, as Chris mentioned, on Sunday, November 2nd, one at 3, the matinee, and then the later show at 7 p.m. Tickets are available now at sfjazz.org. And Chris, before I let you go, what's on deck for the next year for the collective and you?
There's so much stuff going on with the collective. I think after this, we're going to be on the hiatus for a little while. I think our next meeting is at Birdland in New York City in April, something like that. And I'm going to be on the road a fair amount with my own groups.
Nice.
It's busy. Going to Japan with Herbie Hancock next month, and then a tribute to Zakir Hussain, one of the great Indian musicians who lived here in the Bay Area. And there's a good kind of concert tribute to him in Mumbai. I'm going to be doing that. But just a lot of things coming down the pike. Can't complain.
I'll send folks to your website for the latest update and details.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, Chris, I know you're a busy guy. I really appreciate this interview and you taking the time to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, musicians, would you like to be a guest on Backstage Bay Area? Just email the host and let him know when you'll be playing in the Bay Area. The address is backstage.sfbay@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
This has been Backstage Bay Area, your all-access pass to the local jazz scene. I'm Steve Roby. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the show.